I have an interesting video for you guys today, and it's all about 5 decluttering personalities that if you discover which one you are, you could end the clutter for good. So these come from the British home interior company called Tallboy, and they've identified 5 different personalities. I'm going to go through each one, and then maybe you'll see yourself in one of them. Maybe you'll see yourself in more than one of them, and then I'll give you some strategies so that you can tackle your biggest decluttering challenges depending on what personality type you are. First type is a materialist, and it's kind of just like what it sounds. It's basically someone who puts a lot of value on their material possessions. People who are in this personality really feel a good amount of security in their possessions, and they don't enjoy parting with them at all. This is kind of like a practical group as well. They feel like, okay, I've spent money on these items, so I'm going to keep them. I'm not getting rid of them. They see it as wasteful, and they don't want to waste their money. This group of people could also work really hard and feel like they've done all this work, they've collected these possessions, they're going to keep them, they can't see themselves getting rid of them. Okay, so if this is you, I kind of have 2 strategies that you can use to declutter. One of them is one I shared in another video. I can link it, feel free to watch it after this one, but it's a tip that another viewer shared, and it's essentially to pretend that you're moving. So if you fall into this category, maybe what you can do is pretend that you're moving and try to envision, like, what does your dream home look like, right? Like, what are you gonna have in it? So you take that a step further, you pretend that you're moving and you're packing your bags. What are you gonna take with you? Look around your room, look around your home, and decide, what do you truly wanna take with you? What is kind of worth the effort to move from one home to the next? And then the other strategy is just simply to acknowledge, yes, I have paid a good amount of money for this item. And think about, like, would you buy it again? And what would you pay for it if you had to buy it again? And then kind of along the same lines, I don't think that anything lives in our home for free. I think that everything that we store in our homes pays rent, whether it's headspace, storage space. It costs money at the end of the day. For the people who fall into this group and sort of like a practical approach, think about how much rent does your clutter need to pay? The next is the sentimentalist. This type of person feels a very deep connection to their belongings. And basically, they can't let go of their belongings because they associate it with love. And they also associate the belongings with a person who they love. And it could even be yourself, like yourself as a child. If you're a sentimentalist and you throw your things away or get rid of them, it almost feels like you're throwing away love. In this case, I know that this is definitely by far the hardest type of clutter to get rid of. So I think in this case, what you could do is you could think about starting a memory box. Pick a box, whatever size you think you need, to fit all of your most important, most treasured memories into it. And really go through it and pick like things that are truly sentimental and that you truly love. And kind of look at each object and say to yourself, does this remind me of a good time in my life? Do I truly feel good when I look at this object? Because the answer may surprise you. So select the best objects and put them in this memory box. They also recommend for sentimentalists to just give yourself a longer time frame to declutter, because this type of decluttering, like I said, it's the hardest type to get rid of. This is the hardest clutter to part with. So you want to give yourself time. The other thing that you want to do when you give yourself that time is actually set a time when you're going to do it, almost like a doctor appointment, and then stick to that appointment and stick to that schedule. Another way I like to deal with sentimental clutter is I like to call people in my family or even my friends and ask them if they would like the object, because the thing is, I don't need to hang on to every little piece of my childhood or every little piece of something, and maybe someone else in the family would like it. Maybe they wouldn't, but call them and ask. And just remember, I've said this before, but your things are not your loved ones. The next personality type is the evader. And honestly, it's probably not you because you're watching this video, but these are the types of people who procrastinate, they pretend it's not happening. This personality type actually hates the mess, but they're kind of resigned to it and almost become clutter blind to the mess. They're also like so used to seeing it that they almost absolve themselves of this issue. A lot of the time, I also think that evaders are dealing with clutter that's not theirs, and it's really difficult to declutter someone else's things. In fact, I don't even recommend decluttering other people's things. So if you happen to fall in this evader category, then I say Focus on what you can control and declutter what is yours and what you actually have control over. And try to carve out like your own uncluttered spaces, especially if you live with evaders and it's not your stuff, then you just want to create a uncluttered space for yourself. And you'd be surprised, according to Tallboy, when your family sees you decluttering, and a lot of times your decluttering and all the work that you're doing will also actually motivate people in your family to do the same and declutter their own things. High achievers. We all know someone who's a high achiever, right? They like achieving their goals. They take pleasure in being the best and succeeding in things. They're very motivated. Kind of opposite of a person who you would think would have trouble with clutter, right? This type of person, though, really sees their home and their lifestyle a reflection of themselves and a reflection of their life's successes. So they hang on to items that remind them of success. That could be like really nice furniture, fancy jewelry, expensive clothing, maybe kids' toys, sporting equipment, books, all of the things that kind of signify a successful lifestyle. So the best way for this decluttering personality type is to harness that high achievement and set a decluttering goal. And meeting those goals that you've set for decluttering will give you the same sense of fulfillment. Get out a piece of paper and a pen, make a list, make an action plan, and check items off your list. So this last one, I think that many of us fall into this category, and it's habit keepers. My husband is actually in this category, and I think other members of his family are as well. This is really like the just in case clutter. I might need it just in case. Let's have duplicates. Let's hang on to items for a long time, even though we haven't used them in a long time. I think that kids who grew up in areas where maybe there were rations or restrictions on things, or maybe their parents kind of instilled this in them to save things. I think this is the just in case people. So this personality type will keep like really old items, think like old electronics, old chargers and wires, obsolete technology, old sporting equipment. Probably keeping things that don't even work, right? Keeping old things are fine as long as you use them. So for this group, it's a little bit harder. And I understand because the just in case also gives a good sense of security. And I think you could keep just in case clutter like in the form of like extra toilet paper, extra paper towels, extra things that you might need just in case. So for this group, the advice is to ask the hard questions. When you have an area you want to declutter, go in there and look at the items and say, when was the last time I used this? Do I still need this and do I still use it? If not, should we donate it to someone else so that they can get the value from it? Okay guys, those are the 5 different decluttering personality types. You may be one of them spot on. You may be multiple ones together. But I think with all of the advice, you can put it together and finally get on top of all of your decluttering obstacles. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to keep the decluttering going, I'm going to link a playlist. Click on it and I will see you over there. Bye-bye.